Welcome to Simply Sleepy. Tonight we drift into a world where time has grown hushed and stories lie hidden in the dust. A forgotten library waits, its shelves draped in shadow, its pages heavy with secrets long left unread. Here, in the quiet glow of fading lanterns, the air itself remembers, whispers of ancient wisdom and voices of the past, lingering like ashes on the wind. Let your body soften, let your thoughts unburden themselves. You are safe, you are held, you are free to wander where imagination gently guides you. With each breath, the stillness grows deeper. With each pause, the world outside fades further away. Close your eyes now, and let us begin our journey into the ashes of the forgotten library. They told the story wrong, of course. It wasn't lightning that did it. Lightning loves tall things and clean paths. It does not climb a mountain on a windless evening, knock politely, and set a monastery on fire from the inside out. But stories need causes we can point at, and the mountain needed a tidy explanation, so the town said lightning. Mara Solon thought so too until she put her boot over the threshold of Sion vein and felt ash breathe. The fire had eaten the roof, the beams, the bones of the scriptorium tables. Air moved as if the building still had lungs. Between the black ribs of the walls, the sky looked too blue, as if it had been polished in the night to make up for what had been taken. Elias Crane stepped in behind her. His elbow brushed the soot on the jamb and came away tattooed by accident. "Careful," he said, which with Elias meant, "Don't leave me behind." They were paid by the county to investigate suspicious structures after disasters, which usually meant telling someone their insurance wouldn't cover God's frustration with old wiring. Mara liked the work because it let her stand inside other people's endings and think in paginated numbered steps. Char ran in dunes across the flagstones. In the back corner where the library had been, the ash lay thick as if snow had fallen inside. The air smelled like burned rosemary and something else. What paper would smell like if it had ever been alive enough to bleed? She was about to step wrong when the ash shifted by itself and made a neat circle the size of a book. "Did you—" Elias began. Mara crouched. She brushed ash back with the side of her hand. Beneath a rectangle, she touched the edge. Smooth, cool. She lifted. The book was unharmed. It looked old because it had decided to. The leather was black, the spine unlettered. It was lighter than it should have been. When she opened it, the pages were thick and almost translucent, like onion skin taught to be brave. The first line read, "The disappearance of the Wren twins, 2043. Mara snorted before she could help it. Cute, she skimmed. The prose was neat and factual, like a police report's cousin who had gone to art school and learned about adjectives. It had names, locations, a photograph diagrammed into text at mile marker 17, 2 small bicycles lying on their sides like parentheses. It had a date, and that date was 18 years from next month. Elias read over her shoulder, breath rough from the hike. He frowned in the way he did when a thing was wrong, and he thought it would be undignified to be delighted. In the next half hour they uncovered 5 more, each nestled in the ash like an egg in peat, each pristine. The Shepherdess on Barrow Road, 1897. The Spelunkers Beneath the Eye, 1961. The Boy at the Ferry, 2120. The handwriting of the text shifted if you looked away and looked back, as if the book had grown bored and changed its mind about what it ought to look like. Each ended with the same sentence written in a firmer hand, "And still the valley feeds the fire." "You seeing what I'm seeing?" Elias asked. "That we're going to get hazard pay for smoke inhalation," Mara said lightly. She did not say. "That the air moves as if the books are breathing us." Back at the motel, Mara lay on her back on the coverlet that smelled of lemon and a patience she did not possess. She set the book about the Wren twins on her stomach so she could feel its weight. There was a rhythm to it, subtle, as if pages turned somewhere else and the breath that moved them travelled through the spine to her skin. She knew about the Wrens. Everyone did. Two girls who rode their bikes together and did not come back. There had been no monastery fire when they vanished. The book said there would be a blue ribbon at the annual fair with their names on it anyway, because grief always wins first place. The last line waited like a throat clearing. "And still the valley feeds the fire." She got up and went to Elias's room and knocked. He opened the door shirtless and blinked as if surprised by his own torso. "Is it morning?" "It isn't," she said. "Read." He did. His mouth made the shape of the last sentence without sound. "Let's go back," she said. He nodded, because both of them were the kind of people who would rather be uncertain in front of the lion than wrong in front of the map. They brought metal cases and a portable scanner and the kind of caution that pretends it's not a dare. In the noon light, the ruins were less tragic and more improper, like someone had taken their clothes off at a funeral, and the mountain had decided to pretend it was fashionable. They found more books. Mara stopped counting at 12. The titles linked to the valley as if a slow, careful hand had threaded disappearances along a necklace no one had noticed wearing. A farmer in 1930 whose cow came home without him, udder full and patient. A pair of hikers in 1984. One returned mute, hands burned with letters. A child in 2065 who vanished in a school hallway while his classmates watched and did not blink. In the afternoon light, ash lifted and drifted in patterns too deliberate to be wind. Elias waved a hand through, and the particles outlined his fingers before scattering, admiring the interruption. "Let me make you an unwise suggestion," he said. "No," Mara said. "I want to burn one." She looked at the mountain, which had the decency not to thunder. "Fine," she said, "but we do it with the right theatre." She set a metal tray on a table skeleton. She placed the spelunkers on it, the book's spine warm now, as if it had been under a lamp. She struck a match. The flame looked reasonable. She touched it to the corner. The fire wavered, then turned its face away, uninterested as a cat at your problem. She tried another match, and then the blowtorch they'd brought for convincing resistant nails to confess. The flame brightened, leaned down and went out. The book sat, refreshed. When she opened to the last page, the final sentence had been underlined twice, and still the valley feeds the fire. They did not talk for a while. "Mara," Elias said softly. He was looking at the ash. In the ash, words rose like fossils coming up for air. The disappearance of investigator Mara Solin, 2025. She did not touch the book that extruded itself like a patient tooth from the floor. It was already open to the middle. The sentence there said, "As she reads these very words in the smoke of..." Elias put his hand on her elbow. "That's enough of that," he said, which with Elias meant, "I am not brave enough for you to be gone." Mara stepped back, and her boot found nothing. For a thin second she was falling through what the floor had decided not to be any more. Then the stone became itself and caught her just as cruel as always. "Okay," she said, breathing hard. "Okay." She knelt and shut the book with 2 fingers like closing a mouth. The ash accepted it back with a satisfied hiss. That night in the motel, Mara dreamed of script. Letters rose from the burned floor like steam. They made words with her name in the middle like an anchor. She woke at 3:07 to the sound of paper turning. She sat up. The air smelled like lemon and smoke. The book on the table had opened itself. The pages moved without a breeze, as if someone on the other side were reading quickly to get to the part where she came in. She got up, took the pen from the motel's tiny pad of paper. "Welcome to the Ponderosa Lodge. Free waffles until 9, and laid it across the book's spine. The pages kept turning. The pen rolled aside. On the blank margin of the page in front of her, words appeared like frost etching a window. "Do not pretend," the book wrote with the resigned affection of a teacher. "Pretending makes a bad door." "Who are you?" Mara asked, because no one sane starts a conversation with what. "Ash writes," the book wrote. "We write with what the valley gives us. Every ending is a fuel. We record the shape it makes as it burns." "That's disgusting," Mara said. "It is honest," the book wrote, "and it keeps the mountain from chewing with its mouth open. What happens if I write back?" "You already are." She looked down. Her motel pen had scrawled 3 words in her own looping hand. "Do not feed." The book did not move for a breath. Then it turned, eager, like a dog finding the right scent. "And still the valley frees the fire," it wrote. "Freeze?" Mara said. "The wrong letter changes a meal to a door." She felt the knock then, not on the door, but under her ribs, the place her panic lived. Something had noticed her noticing, something that had eaten for a long time and had not imagined it might go hungry. Elias pounded on the wall between their rooms. "You awake?" She laughed, surprised by the relief in it. "I am," she said. They went up at dawn with the certainty of people who had decided to be stupid strategically. The mountain wore its shadow like a bruise. The ruins waited with heat still in them, as if the fire had left its coat and gone out for a minute. Mara stepped onto the ash and said aloud, "Do not feed." The ash shivered in lines like a flock of birds changing its mind mid-air. Books rose like islands. She saw her own name in the topography of words and felt the old part of her that wanted to live forever reach for the wrong thing. Elias put the motel pen in her hand. "Right," he said. "Be a bad door." She knelt and found a flat slate under the ash. She wrote with her finger first, then with the pen when the ash took the shape. "And still the valley frees the fire." A wind arrived from nowhere and ran through the ruins the way a rumour runs through a small town. The ash lifted in sheets and then fell heavy like a decision. One of the books on the nearest table sighed and closed. Another did the same. Far back near the apse, a single ember that no one had seen went out. The monastery seemed suddenly ordinary, dangerous because it was unstable, tragic because people had loved it. No breath, no pages turning by themselves, no sense that the floor might change its mind. Mara exhaled. The pen rolled from her hand and landed in the ash and drew a pointless little line as it fell, a flourish, a signature, a teacher's grace note. Elias laughed once, amazed and a little angry. "You just argued with grammar and Don't say that, she said, and then because superstition without a ritual is loneliness, say it again. He did. He looked better saying it the second time. They gathered 3 books to carry out, feeling suddenly like thieves, which is what you are when you take anything from a place that thought it had finished with you. At the threshold, the ash lifted once more and spelled 4 words without preface. Do not pretend again. Mara nodded without smiling. I won't, she said. 2 days later, Elias came back alone to take photographs. The county wanted images of the damage that looked like progress. He liked the quiet after a storm, how the world pretended to have learned something. The ruins were cooler, the ash lay still, docile as a cat in a square of sun. He stepped near the place where the apse had been and saw the spine of a book rising like a dorsal fin through shallow water. It was new. He pulled it free. The disappearance of investigator Elias Crane, 2025. His mouth made her name. He turned a page that was already warm where his hand would be. Back at the motel, Mara woke to the sound of paper turning. She sat up. The book they had kept on the dresser, the one titled The Shepherdess, had its pages splayed as if laughing. On the blank margin, a fresh sentence etched itself with brisk schoolmarmish ease. Do not pretend again. She stood. The mountain looked very far away and very close. She picked up the book and held it like something alive. Fine, she said into the room that had lemon and smoke and the particular silence that comes after a word is chosen. No pretending. She started toward the door. Behind her, the last line of the shepherdess shifted where she could not see it. If anyone had been there to read, they would have said that even ash can learn to conjugate hope. And so, the library fades. The shelves grow dim, the lanterns burn low, and the voices of the past drift back into silence. What once felt forgotten has been remembered, if only in your dreams tonight. You have walked among the ashes, you have listened to the whispers, and now the pages close softly around you like a book set gently back upon the shelf. Rest now, dear dreamer. The stories will wait for you here. The forgotten library will always open its doors again when the time is right. Until then, sleep deeply and let the quiet